Hey y'all, my name is Madeline Schecksnyder. This is my informative speech and this is my audience. Have you ever heard a child say bud instead of bird? It's cute for a young child to say this at first, but once they reach a certain age, it is something that needs to be fixed. Fixing the way a child says their R sounds is only one aspect of what a speech language pathologist does. My current major is Communication Sciences and Disorders, which is also known as Speech Language Pathology. Speech language pathologists, also known as SLPs, work to prevent, assess, diagnose, and treat speech, language, communication, and swallowing disorders in children and adults. Speech pathology goes all the way back to the 1940s and 1950s. According to the Health Sciences Library, many World War II soldiers returned with brain injuries resulting in a dramatic increase. Speech-language pathology researchers began to focus more on the brain. This field continued to expand through the 1960s through the 1980s, and people are continually gaining new and improved knowledge related to speech-language pathology. There are so many aspects to this major, but I would love to specifically work with voice disorders. According to the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, boys ages 3 to 17 are more likely than girls to have a voice, speech, language, or swallowing disorder. And 7.5 million Americans have or have had a voice disorder. I am interested in voice disorders specifically because it consists of much more than people think, while requiring so many assessment and treatment approaches, and because there are so many job opportunities related to it. I was affected by a voice disorder known as vocal nodules that happens more often than people think. But because of this effect in my own life, I gained an interest in specializing in voice disorders. According to Pupil Appraisal for Louisiana, a voice disorder consists of any inappropriate, consistent deviation in pitch, intensity, quality, or other basic phonatory or resonatory attribute. I became interested in this field when my teacher pointed out my hoarse quality of my voice. She told me to go to the ENT and see if I had vocal nodules, and I ended up having them. Vocal nodules are hard, whitish growths on the glottal margin of the vocal folds, which are generally bilateral. They are caused by vocal abuse such as yelling, screaming, cheering, excessive talking while vocal folds are weakened, but because I was diagnosed with vocal nodules, my teacher brought me to speech therapy, which then made me immediately interested in the major, specifically in voice disorders. There are so many more things that could cause voice disorders that people do not think about. This includes things like vocal polyps, laryngitis, contact ulcers on the vocal folds, acid reflux disease, laryngeal cancer, and cysts. All of these could cause a voice to have roughness or hoarseness, which is a lack of clear vocal quality. It could cause the voice to have a breathiness sound, which would mean excessive air escaping during phonation, or it could cause intermittent or consistent absence of voicing, or even the pitch to be too high or too low, or the level of loudness to be too loud or too soft. There are so many different types of disorders that vary depending on the situation, but along with these types come assessments and treatments to reduce the problems of the disorders. There must be an assessment conducted by the appropriate medical specialist prior to conducting treatment, meaning that the person has to go to an ENT doctor to get a medical document with a diagnosis before going to a speech pathologist. This prevents any mistreatment. Once the SLP has the medical documentation from the doctor, they can begin assessment and treatment. Assessment is evaluating the client's voice. The vocal function can be determined by assessing physical measures of pitch, loudness, and respiratory support. To assess the clinician has to receive a case history with background information of the client. Along with the background and medical history, the clinician will observe the client's different characteristics of voice by evaluating their respiratory support, voice quality, pitch, loudness, resonance, and use of the vocal folds. Treatment includes teaching the client how to develop the best possible voice quality. Treatment for misusing the vocal folds includes teaching the client how to eliminate the abusive vocal behaviors, teaching the client how to develop appropriate respiratory support, practicing proper vocal hygiene, and practicing vocal function exercises. Because of the various assessments and treatments, every SLP works differently but in a similar way. This allows numerous job settings and allows the SLP to work in our own creative way. Southeastern's programs in speech-language pathology through academic and clinical education prepare graduates for careers in speech-language pathology assistants, or speech-language pathologists. There are two things you can do to pursue a CSD career. You can graduate in CSD in undergrad and continue getting clinic hours to become a speech-language pathology assistant, which means you would have to have a supervisor watch over you for your sessions, or you can go to graduate school, graduate, pass the comps and the praxis, and get your CCCs, which certify you to become a full speech-language pathologist. SLPAs and SLPs conduct assessments and provide intervention, consult and collaborate with other professionals, clients, and family members, create and maintain professionalism and clinical records, and conduct research in the areas of communication disorders. According to ASHA, SLPs work in settings with varying roles and population because of the high demand for speech-language pathology services. SLPs can work in a school setting, a hospital setting, a rehab setting, or even a private setting. In many settings, SLPs often work as part of a collaborative team, which may include teachers, physicians, audiologists, psychologists, social workers, physical and occupational therapists, and rehab counselors. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, employment of speech-language pathologists is projected to grow 21% from 2014 to 2024, much faster than the average for all occupations. As a large baby boom population grows older, there will be more instances of health conditions that cause speech or language impairments, such as strokes and hearing loss. This is a fast-growing major that provides various job opportunities that even have a chance to work with other professions. To condense what CSD is, it is a major that helps people to communicate while there are many aspects of communication. I specifically am interested in voice disorders because of the idea that it is so overlooked. When people think of an SLP, they may only think about fixing the way a child says an R sound, but it is so much more to that. The voice is an interesting part of our lives, but it can be affected by so many disorders. Therefore, these disorders have to be assessed and treated. Because of the disorders like voice disorders, speech-language pathology provides many job opportunities that help change people's lives. Thank you.